Welcome to Mortgage Training Clips. Brought to you by Complete Mortgage Processing, the best in realistic, reliable mortgage training. Training for loan officers, loan processors, mortgage brokers, realtors, and property investors. The training you want, the way you want it. Live instructor-led classes, multimedia presentations, self-study guides, and mentoring programs. Today's topic is setting up a loan file. We know that it can be overwhelming when you get your first look at that loan file bulging with papers. Well, rest assured that loan setup is easy. You just need to be clear about what the task of loan setup involves. Then you can easily get it done. Before we begin with how to do loan setup, let's take a quick look at where loan setup falls in the actual loan process. We begin with the loan officer originating the loan. That can be done in person, by phone, or via the internet. Next, we have loan setup, which is our topic for today. We'll get into this much more later. Next, we have the initial file review. This is where documents in the file are analyzed to confirm if the deal's feasible. Is it doable? Then we get into loan processing. The primary function of loan processing is to prove that the information on the 1003, along with its supporting documentation, is accurate and reliable enough for the lender to use in making a credit decision. Next, we have a few other aspects of the loan flow process. We won't get into these categories today, but we'll touch on them. Underwriting. This is the phase where the lender reviews file documents and approves or denies the loan. Closing. Here the loan documents are signed by the borrower and other conditions are finalized according to the lender's instructions. And then there's funding. All closing documents are reviewed by the lender and then funds are released for disbursement. What is loan setup? Loan setup is simply the term used to describe a systematic way of organizing a loan file in preparation for doing a review and processing. The rest of this training segment will focus on three aspects of loan setup. 1. What supplies may be necessary to organize your file. 2. How to separate your documents by category. And 3. How to place your documents in the file so that you can find them quickly when you need them. Before you begin processing a loan, the loan file should be set up or organized. Although this may seem rather obvious, we've seen so many loan officers and processors who attempt to work on a file without doing it. Of course, that doesn't pan out very well. Documents get lost. Time is wasted shuffling through papers over and over again, looking for that one document that you just know is in there. We've even seen documents find their way to the wrong file. This doesn't have to happen to you. Just get organized before you start processing. Some companies actually designate a particular person whose only job is to do file setup. This is done to make sure that no processing happens before the file gets organized. After the files are set up, then they are routed to a particular processor. A few things to keep in mind when setting up your loan file. The first thing is that loan setup should be quick and not combined with any other task. Let's look at some of the basic supplies. First, you want to gather all of your supplies, and the supplies you need will vary depending on what level of technology you have access to. For this training, we'll keep it low tech. File folders, these can be plain ones that you just get from Office Depot, Sam's Club, or ones that you use to track your progress on that come from online vendors like Greatland.com or ZPBforms.com or OriginationForms.com. Then there's fasteners, like the ones you see here. They can be purchased separately, with or without adhesive, and you can purchase folders that already have fasteners attached. Then there's the conversation sheet and submission forms. These can be used in a print format or an electronic version. One doesn't matter over the other. What's most important is that you use them. Then labels. Labels are helpful for archiving your files. You can use plain labels or colored ones to distinguish one loan officer's files from another. If you opt not to use labels at all, at least use a dark colored permanent marker that will help you see what's on the folder tab. Then there are order forms and request forms. These can also be in a print format or an electronic version. If you're using the printed format, you can make your life easier by making a master copy that's pre-filled with your standard information that'll be the same for every file. Then a two-hole punch will come in handy for adding documents to your file. Another handy note is that you want to make sure you pre-fill your setup folders as often as possible. You can also use sticky notes or tabs to mark pages that you want to review later when you actually go through a more full review of the file. Let's talk about other relevant categories. Next, you want to review each document and sort it according to the lender stacking order. You can obtain your lender stacking order online from your lender's website. Otherwise, you can simply use standard categories like application, income, assets, credit, title, appraisal, disclosures. You'll want to place your documents within each category in date order with the most current information on top. You can set aside any extra or unnecessary documents, or you can wait until the official review. Hole punch and secure the information in the file. Here are a few other helpful tips. Put all of your asset documentation together. Place the most recent bank or asset statements on top. When you're working with your credit report, you want to make sure that you have any supporting documentation that will address derogatory or other issues just behind the credit report. Next, you want to put all of your income documentation together. Put the most recent information on top. Unless you've been advised to do otherwise, you can put your pay stubs on top, followed by your W-2s, 1099s, and tax returns. Put your documentation related to subject property expenses together, such as your mortgage statements, your hazard insurance, homeowners association statements. And then you'll want to put title-related documents together, such as the title policy, warranty deed, etc. And then you'll want to do the same thing for your appraisal disclosures and so on and so on. You'll need to visually scan every document in the file. This is done to categorize it. Don't try to exclude any documents at this point. Another important point, don't spend time analyzing your documents. This will come in the next stage. If there's something that you know you want to come back to at stage 2, simply tag it with a sticky note so that you'll remember that that's something important that you want to talk about later. Other important file notes. You'll want to use the conversation sheet for that. The conversation sheet is a real lifesaver if you use it right. Properly documenting your conversation sheet entries can make the difference in a file continuing on despite the fact that the processor could be off. It'll avoid having it sit on a desk until she returns. There should never be a time when a borrower has to be put on the back burner for a few days or a week just because the processor is out. A well-used conversation sheet is just what the doctor ordered when you're coming up on vacation time. During our contract processing years, everyone was amazed at how well we stayed abreast of what was happening with our files. We didn't have to put someone on hold or call them back. The conversation sheets were detailed enough where we could confidently discuss the status of a file. Are we talking about writing a novel? Of course not. We're just talking about being clear and concise and using the most effective words. I'd compare it to text messaging, for example. Since I'm old school, I like to send my text messages right from the PC. That way I can do it fast. But sure enough, I always run out of character space before my message is complete. So what do you do in that instance? You find a much shorter way to get the same point across. That's what using the conversation sheet is about. They're also great when you're forced to deal with someone who has selective memories. Of course, for those folks, we add a few extra documents. Look at the example on the screen. It's nothing fancy, just enough information to allow the file to be continued to be worked on by anyone in the office. Now you're ready to pass it on to a processor or process it yourself. That's it for today. Thanks for stopping by.